And joining us now in the studio is food security expert, African farmer Mogaji. Of course, we're going to bring up that report about the governors visiting the president and, most importantly, the takeaways. But African farmer Mogaji is here with us. Happy New Year. And okay. I loved the greeting that you responded back when I said Happy New Year.
Yes, so I say all through 2025. Happy food-full year.
And it's such a, amen. Yeah, and it's such a significant statement,
yes.
Especially when you look at how 2024 was, you know, food prices and all of that. We've spoken about it. We cannot even speak enough about it. The president's New Year message was also leading with that. Yes. And even in the report, you know, of the visit by the NGF and the vice president to the president, he also spoke in that direction, that yes, he understands that there were milestones in his administration, but there's still the issue of food prices that Nigerians grappled with for the most part of last year. Yes,
and I'm happy, you know, looking at the governors that went to visit the president. Those are the food basket of the nation. So like every visit, I would expect implementation. I always say that if we are playing football and there's no goalpost, let all the governors come out and tell us what we should be expecting. Let them come to say, oh, we're going to produce X acres of corn that would give us X tonnage of food, so that from January, we're aware that this is what they are trying to do. And so the private sector and Nigerians and people in the states can know how to come in and how to support. So it's very crucial that we all have, we hear about the budget. Everybody in the country knows the budget. Can everybody in the states know what each governor wants to achieve with regards to each staple foods? So they know how to position. That is needed. That is not done yearly. And so beginning of this year, like the president said in one of the interviews, that you can't do the same thing and expect, say, a different result. So let the governors show us this year that they're going to do something differently. But it's a step in the right direction always. But we need to work with the governors now, especially the local governments. If the funding now goes directly to the local government always says governor. The governors always say president. But right now, the people can go to the local government and say, sir, money is coming to you. So all this, it will be good to see these new developments in 2025, but it's going to be a food-full year.
Right.
I'm very optimistic.
Right, and we're going on with you on that optimism. But to help drive our conversation further, let's bring up the report by TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde regarding the Vice President's visit to the President here in Lagos.
President Bola Tinubu has never failed to acknowledge how much he needs the support and collaboration of the governors in driving the change he seeks and implementing the necessary economic reforms introduced by his administration. This meeting with the Nigeria Governors Forum is to reassure the subnationals that these policies are not targeted at reducing the influence of state governors. President Bola Tinubu called for stronger collaboration between the federal and state governments to address pressing challenges, including local government autonomy, agricultural productivity, and currency stability.
Yes. It means we just have to work harder and grow more. And the situation of our currency will improve. And the elastic limit and the economic variables will determine how far individual could go. And the agricultural value chain will depend on all of you. You own the land. Whatever I'm doing in agriculture is just a mere help to stimulate food production. The job is in your hands.
The president expressed his commitment to local government development and autonomy. He insists it is important for grassroots development and also dispelled rumors of disagreement with the governors.
I will drive that change as I wish it. You have the control of your local governments. Do what you expected of grassroots effectiveness and restoration of their hope. It's in your hand.
The chairman of Nigeria Governors Forum acknowledged that the reforms are working, particularly in the agricultural sector. But he also called for diligent implementation and execution of policies and programs of government that will ensure the benefits accrued from improved governance are sustained.
The complaint in Jigar was that there's a bumper harvest, but because of the strength of our currency, the harvest is being exported out. So most of us are encouraging ourselves to buy bumper stocks into our silos, store them for the rainy day. So in terms of agriculture, the policy is working.
Data currently available supports President Bola Tinubu's claims that his economic reforms are yielding the desired results. Notably, President Bola Tinubu and the governors sees this day newspaper's decision to recognize him as Man of the Year as a significant endorsement, given the newspaper's history of criticizing President Bola Tinubu's administration. These acknowledgements suggest that the administration is indeed on the right track. Femi Akonde, TVC News.
All right, let's come back to our conversation now. Ibrahim, we've seen how it all went down, and of course, food production is still, the most paramount for the president, and he spoke to that issue.
Yeah, so, looking at what we had the governors, and I remember us saying while the video was playing that the governors from the food basket of the nation, like governors who are actually seeing to, production of food and all of that in the country are largely present. Were largely present at the meeting. But the president called them to explore emerging opportunities in the agricultural space, especially talking about economic stability and food affordability. At the same time, I'm now wondering what kind of innovations or strategies do you think they can now bring on board as against some of the meetings they've had over the years, so to speak, to drive food production growth?
You see, we don't need any innovation. That's the truth. Right now, the food security of Nigeria needs to be approached with a turnaround mindset. And in turnaround management, you're not looking at bringing any new thing. You're planning to use what you currently have to turn it around to deliver productivity. We just need the governors for it to reflect in their conversations. The more they talk about it, the more the people in their states know that this is where the governor is going. When the president doubled the agri budget for 2025, the whole nation now knows that this man is serious about this. Have they all doubled or increased significantly budgets? If you don't increase your budget, then everybody knows your heart is not there. So, and really, beyond the budget now, for many of them who have not done that, it's the private sector. They need to be engaging their private sector through the commissioners of agriculture. Probably a quarterly thing. It costs nothing. It's just to listen to them. So identify 2-3 main staples in your state that you're going to focus on that fits into what the nation needs. And the nation needs food. So bottom line is, it's that will to do it beyond the talk. And personally, I would have thought that based on the challenges, increase in prices, we ought to have seen a lot of changes but we're not, because the body language of the governors still needs to improve. And that's why we don't have it.
How do you mean the body language?
Yeah, the body language is, when you talk about Lagos State, I like to talk about Lagos State. The infrastructure development going on in Lagos State to be able to store food, to be able to help the value chain, to ensure that when other farmers in other states produce, it can be stored. Look around, there are about 6 or 7 very massive, audacious projects going on. Yeah. Then you can say Lagos is moving in the right direction. They don't have the land space. They know they have the strength, the comparative advantage to store, and people who want to export. So infrastructure is going on. Where are such projects in many of the states? We don't have enough starch. Yes, cassava is 1 year, okay? Sweet potato is there. Kwara is, offer. In Kwara, when they eulogize them, sweet potato is part of the urology. Do you get? So Kwara should be a major producer. Jigawa produces. So bottom line is that the product that you have that is wasting every planting season, how have you added value? You see, so if the potato is wasting and it keeps wasting for almost 4 decades, when you set up, as an encourage, not government to set up, encourage private sector to set up and fund the farmers or support the farmers, we're not seeing strategic moves. It's still conversation around give fertilizer, give seed, and it's not even give quality, just give it. It's just the media ops. How many of them have programs on radio, on television, focusing on agriculture? You don't see it. That is deliberate. So when the beginning is to bring media in. When you bring media in to showcase opportunities, especially wealth creation, not poverty elevation, and that's a missing link. Right. Almost everybody is focusing on poverty elevation. The rich man and the average person are the ones that can invest. They don't want to alleviate poverty. They want to impact, and out of the impact, make money. So you must be speaking the language of wealth creation. And so the people who have the money will know that you're speaking their language and put the money there. So it's language, it's communication. Communication is food security in Nigeria. When you communicate right, the right people go in there. The youths also are not hearing the right language. They are running from poverty, and you are developing programs on poverty. We should be talking about wealth. We're talking about how many billions will be made, how somebody can plant 2.5 acres, the number of millions you can make if you take care of it properly. And that is what the youths. And without that value chain of youths, it will still be.
Is that what the president is referring to when he wants the governors or urges the governors to seize the emerging opportunities in livestock, for example, in agriculture generally?
Yes.
Is that how he's also seeing it, that there are untapped potential in many of these states?
We have not tapped practically any potential. When you look at potential, okay, rice that we talk about is just rice for consumption we've been talking about. We've not been talking about the husk. Rice is in a cover. That cover is for livestock. So we've not been talking about the opportunities, the potentials. We've been focusing on food. Focusing on food will not develop Nigeria's food security. It's focusing on the value chain, the byproducts. If you say plant cassava, planting cassava is good, but cassava has over 100 commercial industrial uses. The president spoke about corn. We all know it with agbado.
That's right.
And I always say this. The custard we take is starch. The pills, all medication has corn starch in it. Crayons, corn starch. Corn itself, beyond food, Nigeria can be transformed on corn if we go through the value chain. So enough of feeding. If we focus on commercialization of what as a raw material, okay, we will feed ourselves. If we focus on food, we will not feed the industries. And once we're able to feed the industries, we will be able to feed ourselves because different byproducts will come out of it.
So if you look at it, I saw that the president, one way or the other, was also trying to massage the ego of the, I don't want to use the word emperor,
yes.
the governors, because they are elected, representatives of, different geographical states. So, but then many of these local government, they actually lack the resources and technical expertise when it comes to handling agriculture. But we're advocating that we have this local government buying into this idea, not just local government, but the people who are habitating, those spaces. But do you not feel that with that technical know-how or without requisite knowledge, it might undermine the present drive for agricultural revolution?
Oh, definitely. Capacity development. Capacity development, capacity development. That's why I was happy when I also saw that the budget for education increased. Okay, it was a focus to the president. But in that detail, we would like to see the details. If agric-education, not university, we will not feed Nigeria focusing on the universities, polytechnics. Informal education. You see, it's very easy to know what worked and replicate it. It's informal. If education should be now social media, we need to engage the farmers on social, and almost all the farmers they are on one social media, or especially youths. The youths in the rural community are always on their social media. We need to go there and meet them there. Education, not the formal education. And so at the local government level, we just need to upgrade their knowledge, bring improved inputs, and run demos. Right now, almost all local governments in the rural communities ought to have demo farms where farmers can come. None of them have, when I say none, I mean none of them have demo farms. Even the local government chairmen are not focused on agriculture. They talk about it. They do it to maintain the farmers, but not to build a vision for the farmers. Let the local governments right now, before the funding come to them, have demo farms of improved seeds and co. So that
How will that work?
Oh, so all local governments have agric farms, agric lands, all of them. Even in Lagos. Lagos, they have lands in Badagry and all over. Let them all run pilots. They all have agric departments, head of agric. They have agric budget. It should be mandatory that all local governments should have a demonstration farm in their local governments where people can learn. And for Lagos, each local government can run urban farming in each local government where people can also come and learn. They are paying salaries to a few staff. So, the Fed, I have always been saying this, the federal is more passionate about agriculture and food security than most, and I use most, not all, most of the governors. It should be equal.
Right, but there is a notion that this subsistence farming would have limitations, especially in urban areas. Do you share that?
No, I don't. This is where technology, there's a lot around vertical farming, where you put some plastics together and water, hydroponics, all those things. So what stops the local government, each local government, okay, from investing in that and selling it either at cost, just to make it available, and people will grow it. This is not rocket science, it's interest. Once you want to solve a problem, your heart will be there. Every communication of the president reflects food security, agriculture. Does the communication of the local government chairman and the governors also match up? Until they begin to talk that much, it won't get into their budget. And until it gets into the budget, the people won't pay attention.
So we should look beyond politics, actually.
Oh, we should look beyond politics.
But part of this political development is a tax reform, which is part of the focus we're having. Because if you look at it, it's quite essential for revenue generation, but we see some people who are already against it, even some governors, even some local governments, But then we need these people to buy into or to key into this initiative or these reforms. But I don't know how you see it, but how do you think if eventually this tax reform actually, survives or succeeds, so that we need to balance and then to ensure that we to ensure that farmers thrive without overtaxation?
So one, I know there was an extensive engagement by Oyedele and co, you know, with people in the agri value chain. Now, I think what needs to be said to get the buy-in of the governors and co, because election is around the corner and everybody will be coming back, to say, okay, if you agree to this, we would increase agri budget by like 10% that we committed to about 20 years ago. Yeah. If they paint that, if federal government paints that picture articulately and pushes it on media, the farmers will ask the governors to say, this is for us. The citizens right now need to buy cheaper food. They need the prices of food to go down. So if the president drives that conversation, the governors would have no choice but to align. Okay, so bottom line is, what's in it for me? It's where the contention really is. They don't feel protected, okay? But bottom line is, once we dangle the carrots on agricultural food security, the people will demand that we need food to go down. As long as federal government keeps to that, it's a deal. The president knows how to negotiate deals, you know. So, but I just believe that the taxes is a no-brainer. Is a no-brainer. So once people are just concerned about, will it be utilized for the right purpose? And if they drive agri, people would align, and the governors would have no choice but to align.
So trust is in the middle of it.
Trust is in the middle of it.
But let's also look at the option of GMOs, especially as you know, the nation is entering the new year. What really do you think about the option, and how it can you know, serve as the missing link?
Okay, so social media may hunt me for this, but most times they say, if you go to the market and you listen to the noise of the market, you will not buy anything. Now, I would say this. I'm always on the fence with GMOs, okay? So GMOs, we've allowed the wrong narrative on GMOs to take over the right narratives. Okay. Let me paint this scenario. If it does not rain in Nigeria in the rainy season for 3 months, what will happen to us? So it's not, the stories we hear about GMOs are the stories of when they started it. Anything that you start is not perfected. Issues will come. There are some areas that we need to embrace GMOs, okay? Such as like our maize. Our livestock, there's no livestock for now without maize, without soya. There's no livestock. 40–50% of every bag of feed is maize and soya. What we need to be doing is not if we should embrace GMO. What we need to be doing is to ensure that the policies we adhere strictly to the regulations of GMO and give options, and not try to say, oh, we must take GMOs. No, we must be working actively on GMO, 1. And 2, we must also be ensuring that we are producing hybrids. And we should ensure that the GMOs are locally generated so that the national interest is protected. GMOs also can be engineered, okay, for food security or national security purpose. So we must make it our own. And guess what? We have agencies that are on top of the game. When GMOs come into the country, our agencies seize it, confiscate it, and trash the thing. We need media. If this administration gets it right at federal, at state with media, to promote what you have. We have functional agencies doing the job. Do they have good media budgets? So they let people know what is happening. So we need to protect our local. We need to promote our local more than the conversation. Let's show people what we are doing with our local seeds. We are chunking out seeds, new varieties. There's no media hype on that to show people. So GMO is just something small that we've allowed to be too big, but we should be on top of it.
You think so? There are so many misinformation. Maybe there is.
A lot.
Religious-wise, some are saying that it's for, you know, advancing the cause of the 666 and all of that.
That's ignorance.
And some other thing. I actually, you know, took tangerine that had no seed while I was in the UK, and even some bananas and other things that I know that they are GMOs. Even some of those who are Westerners have not essentially keyed into the idea of GMO. But that's a very broad topic that we might want to bring you back to discuss.
I would be glad. We need to demystify it.
Absolutely. So, but then I read some stories, was it this morning on Business Day, saying that farmers reaped billions from cocoa, sesame exports in 2024, and then farmers also smiled to the bank as onion price jumps 108%. So farmers are making money, they're making a kill, but one of the reasons why they made more money, or probably the challenges they had with onion, is because some of them were exported outside of the country, Ivory Coast, Ghana, etc., and they do not have quality seedlings to be able to farm this produce. While farmers are making money, we are also running for food security. We are hungry. So how do we balance this so that people will not, take advantage of the scarcity while, making their money and then killing their own?
So let me balance this conversation. Last year when I did a video about tomatoes and one about October-November food crisis, now because Nigerians jumped into the opportunities, we were able to avoid the food crisis. We did not invest heavily, both private sector, government, in onions. That was why it was only onions that got expensive. That was supposed to go for many produce. So we should first amplify the fact that we were proactive, we took action, and we averted the food crisis in November. Onion was just a signal for us to see what could have happened. However, that is agribusiness. 2025 is a money maker for producers. Is a money maker for producers because we don't have enough.
Not at the expense of the people.
Not at the expense of the people. You see, we don't produce enough. That's why we have that challenge. And climate plays a role in that. So, but bottom line is that the farmers planted their cocoa many years ago. It's the global demand for cocoa that made 15 million naira for a ton of cocoa. So bottom line is if you understand the times, if you check the map, like take for instance, May, June this year, tomatoes is likely to be 200,000 to 300,000 per basket. 20 years of monitoring these graphs. Now, but we will beat it down. The Minister of Agriculture has already committed to that. They have policies, they have implementation strategy going on to drop it significantly. So, so a lot of things are happening. It's not at the expense of consumers.
But
it's
you
just
could
that.
also say that you're making a case for the farmers because then what is our industry like to develop cocoa?
Yes, so if people want to buy from you at so amount, why wouldn't you sell?
All right, African Farmer, we're now at the top of the hour. That's our signal to wrap things up here. It's an ongoing conversation, one that you've always been lending your voice to, especially with us here, and we thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Right. You're watching TVC.